just like any professional sport, I think there's always nerves involved, and it's just a matter of how you handle them. Everyone's got them, and everyone handles them differently. As you can see, a lot of people have their own way of handling it. But for me, I've played enough tournaments to where I've found ways to not let it affect me too much. Obviously it's going to be there, and I know it's going to be there, so I just have that in mind when I step up to the first hole.
I'd like to say no nerves, but a little nerves probably. I think it's more adrenaline and more anxiousness to get on the course and start playing some good shots.
There's some pressure out there, when they call your name up there and everybody gets quiet, all eyes are on you. It's you feel the nerves, but I think that's a good thing because that's what keeps you in the moment. It keeps you fired up, so having some nerves and some pressure I think is really good. You just got to be able to harness it a certain way and take control of it,
For me, the first tee of any tournament is just an exciting moment. There's a little bit of nerves. I think everybody is a little bit nervous, and I think you kind of have to be. If I stepped up to the first tee of any tournament round, first day or last day, and didn't have a little bit of nerves, I would be kind of worried a little bit. So I like that little nervous excitement, and really it's just, come on man, let's do this.
I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and welcome to our second edition of Circle Zero. I'm joined by Pro Tour Director Steve Dodge. And Steve, we saw some hot play yesterday and a lot of exciting things taking place at the first round of the Minnesota Majestic.
We definitely did. I actually enjoy seeing a player. A lot of times we get a bunch of players bundled up, jumbled up at the top of the scoreboard, and I actually love it when a player jumps out at a lead. Whether Nate Sexton knows it or not, he's actually put a target on his back, and he's got to keep the pedal to the metal, or these guys are going to catch him.
Yeah, to come in, say, 8 strokes ahead of someone like Ricky Wysocki, and even more ahead of the number 1 player and travel mate in Paul McBeth, that's a good day of golf.
Yes, that's a very good day of golf. 1080 something rated. He played very, very good golf. We got some numbers to back it up. We'll talk about those later.
We're also going to be bringing you some sweet action that we caught up with some of our players yesterday with the likes of Dutch Napier, who shot very hot. You're going to see him on the leader card today. T3J, a local, he's going to be on the second card. He pretty much told me he had the day of his life out here yesterday, which is great to see. Alex Geisinger, who was featured, also is going to check in with us, and Ricky Wysocki.
It's a pretty nice lineup.
What did you see from the numbers?
So what I noticed, Ricky Wysocki, who's 8 shots behind Nate Sexton right now. I don't know about anybody else, but I would hate to be 8 shots ahead of Ricky with only 2 rounds left. I mean, if you gave me 4 or 5 holes,
then you'd feel comfortable.
I've got a shot. But what I looked at yesterday when I looked at the stats, Ricky Wysocki, his tour average for fairway hits 69%. His circle 1 in regulation, 45%. His circle 2 in regulation, 69%. Remember those numbers, 69, 45, 69. For the Majestic yesterday, fairway hits, 77%. He actually improved. Circle 1, 45%. Right on par. Right on pace. Circle 2 in regulation, 68%. Right on pace. Ricky played as well as Ricky has played, and he is currently the leader in the tour standings. What that says to me is Nate must have done phenomenally well. Let's look at Nate's averages over the tour. Fairway hits 59%, circle 1 in regulation 49%, circle 2 63%. A little bit below Ricky in all categories, actually tied in circle 1 regulation, but a little below in fairway and circle 2. We look at what he did yesterday. Whoops. Lights out. 73% fairway hits, 77% circle 1, 82% circle 2. Nate was playing out of his mind. He has to continue to do that. I would look for Ricky to make some moves today. He's, what card is he on? 3rd, 4th?
23rd, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Well, the point is, luckily we have multi-card coverage. If Ricky starts making a move, we can send a camera back there, or up there, and get some coverage of Ricky as he makes his move, which might happen.
Well, they call it moving day. We hope you can sit back and enjoy the coverage, the multi-card coverage. This is the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. Joining me in Circle Zero is Alex Geisinger. And Alex, we saw you in our featured card live today. The whole world saw you. You're one of the homeboys here. Talk about the experience.
Yeah, I generally don't see myself as the strongest player at Blue Ribbon. I came out just shooting great today and had a minor hiccup in the middle of the round, and I just couldn't recover from it. And I'm happy with where I'm sitting. Obviously, I'd like to be a few strokes better when I was missing easy birdie holes, but definitely not out of the mix.
No, and so you finished with an 11 under par, is that correct?
62.
And when you're coming out here to this course, is it a little bit different mentality, whether you're playing 18 holes or 27 holes? You're one of the few people that, sees a bunch of different formats out here.
I mean, I've played minus a few of the pin positions have moved, but it's been generally the same course every year. I feel like there's a few tweaks that are a matter of 40, 50 feet. It's not like I've never thrown the shot before, so it's just, I know what I have to do. I just got to execute a little better, especially in the back half of the course.
Drew Gibson had joined us during the commentary. He was just kind of walking along and checking things out. And we were talking about, I believe it's 19 this weekend, the driving range hole.
Yep.
And you're at a huge advantage. Obviously, you throw far, but when you're only talking about 100, 150, 200-foot approach shot versus 300 and 400 for some people, what are you thinking off the tee? How far do you really want to put that drive?
I'm really not going for a distance shot. It's just my accurate, golf shot. I throw a low hyzer flip up, and it's not like I'm doing a big ass shot for distance. It's just a power low shot, and as far as it goes, and I generally have a 200-foot up shot on that hole.
Talk about some of the highlights that we found you out on the front half of the course.
I hit some big putts that I was kind of shocked myself with. I mean, my putting's coming around a little bit this season, so I'm happy about that. But just getting through it as clean as I did. I had what was that hole? It's usually 7. I think it's hole 5 now, maybe.
Sounds about right.
Standstill sidearm. My second shot after I hit the tree in the middle was that's probably my best shot of the whole round. To save it. Well, it was a birdie I got actually, and it was not an easy shot to throw. I might have got a little tree to help me stop at the end, but
you gotta take them where you can out here.
Yes, yeah.
Is there a particular section of the course, or do you feel like it all plays relatively the same, or do you kind of get excited when you're like, okay, we're getting to this stretch of 3 or 4 holes, or maybe you're just trying to you want to get off to a good start because you want to get through hole 4 and be clean at that point through the signature hole.
I've made the mistake in the past of trying to get all the birdies in the beginning and worrying about hole 4. I don't even think about it. Go up and throw my shot in the hole now, and it tends to work out a lot better that way than overanalyzing the shot and ending up in the woods or out of bounds or whatever. I just try and play a straight shot down that hole, get my 3 if I get my 4 or whatever. It's not like I'm going to lose strokes to the whole field there. And then there's not really any section of this layout where I feel like I have a huge advantage, because even on the longer holes, the hole before the driving range, I'm not going to 2 that hole.
Sure.
No one's, unless you throw in, you're not going to 2 that hole. So my distance really doesn't play a factor in that section. And none of the holes are really, I would say, out of reach other than those 2.
Okay.
Or 2 or 3 holes for the whole field. So.
Okay. Now you had some local support out here as well. Who did you have out here? Who was watching and taking in the action in person?
Well, I'm getting a following around Minnesota now after a few years.
Well, yeah, we know you struggle. No one struggles, but Cale is such the homeboy that everybody knows and loves, and he's an amazing guy, and he's your tournament director, and he's been so successful. But when someone like you come along, you're winning over some hearts, I'm guessing. Who was out here supporting you?
Yeah, well, my mom and my sister and my dad had to work today, and my girlfriend, Jess, and, well, her sister now, their sister-in-law, came out to watch. they're going to be out all weekend. My son is actually sick, so he's at home today.
Okay.
Hopefully he can make it out. Just a lot of the fans that are. I mean, it's weird to feel them like coming around because the last 2 years I won this tournament, and it's like I put it 10 feet from the basket, Kale put it 12, and the crowd's roaring.
Roars freaking.
And I'm just like,
what do I got to do?
I live here too. Like, I know I'm the new guy, but come on.
Well, it was slaying the giant that's been Kalen. You've been able to get the best of him in the last few years, as you said. Well, anything you're going to change as you move into Saturday or Sunday's round?
Just try to complete the round.
Okay.
I just shut off in the back half today, and luckily got through without I bogeyed the last hole, but other than that, wasn't terrible. Just wasn't what I would like to have done.
All right. Well, that's Alex Geisinger. He's still in the hunt here. He's a 2-time champion at the Minnesota Majestic. We look forward to more solid action from him during Saturday's round. Joining me now is Ricky Wysocki. And Ricky, talk a little bit about your round out there today.
You know, I just didn't really have much going. I started off very slow. I think I was only 1 under through 10 or 11 holes. I just didn't really have my fire lit. You know, just coming back from Europe and I didn't get much practice. I've got my bad ankle. You know, these are all excuses, but you know, I just basically what happened is I didn't get anything going in the front 9, and you know, I turned around a little bit to have a salvageable round at the end.
Now, I talked about it during the live broadcast that was it the tip of the hat? I mean, I called it the Ricky Rally Cap. I'm sure there's another nickname or a more clever hashtag. I didn't think of one on the spot, but you put on the rally cap, backwards, tilted, and then next thing you started birdieing.
Yeah, you know, I think that I needed a new change. You know, I'm not too into the weird, mysterious stuff like that, but you know, I had to try it because I had to try switch something up because I wasn't playing very good. So I think that, you know, in my mind that maybe made my mind think the right things to get the birdies coming down the stretch.
Or divert your attention or something. Whatever it was, it seemed to work for you. Any struggles in particular when you were in the front 9? Did you feel like you weren't really getting off the tee well? It wasn't really your putting, so was it maybe tee shots and approaches?
Yeah. You know, I struggled off the tee. I didn't really even give myself too many opportunities on the front 9 to get birdies. I think when I did, I think hole 1 is the only birdie I had. I was parked, so. You know, I really just wasn't throwing the disc well enough to really have birdie opportunities, and I'm just looking to switch that the next few days. I think I'm going to be right around eight strokes off the lead. So, but there's still 2 rounds to go, and anyway, I really still feel like I can have a chance if I play 2 solid rounds. We got 22 holes 2 days in a row now, so 44 holes. I think there's a lot of holes left. I think it's not over.
Well, and exactly saying that, you being the second highest rated player in the world, but definitely the player that's on fire right now more than anyone, not too often after a round of golf can you say, I'm down 8 strokes to anyone ever. I mean, that just doesn't happen. Nate Sexton's in the clubhouse with a 17 under par, very solid round. He said he played near perfect. Are you going to have to come out and play near perfect to catch him?
You know, there's so many swings here. You know, there's holes, you know, island holes, wooded holes with, you know, lots of woods and stroke separation if you make it happen. You know, obviously you can be on the good side or the bad side of the separation, but, you know, so I'm just looking forward to, you know, really just playing one more solid round and then see where I'm at after that and hopefully have a chance to win come Sunday.
Possibly have to attack or reassess even at that point. Speaking of a hole that didn't go so well, I hate to bring up, you know, bad news, but you guys weren't so good on that short little hole, the 155-footer.
Dude, that was probably.
Tell everybody about that.
Well, yeah, it wasn't good. I think once one person hit the tree, we're like all in our head. So it was like just didn't help that, you know, if the first person would have parked it would have been like, oh cool, this hole's easy. But we're like, first person hit the tree, we're like, oh, that's weird. Maybe this hole isn't as easy as we thought. And so it was just kind of a mental battle. And you know, we had a good vibe out there, so we were light about it. Normally it's not like that, but I think it was a hole to where it was normally so easy, but it was just so terrible that we had to laugh about it. So
well, if it weren't for Yuli making like a 35-footer, you guys almost played that hole 1 over par, and it's 155 feet. I've seen you some of our top professionals play 600 footers and less strokes.
Yeah, that is true.
So it was an interesting battle, but you got through it. It seemed like that maybe was a little bit of a turning point. You guys got around that, and then it seemed like things picked up. And even one of your card mates, you guys talk about flow within the card and the camaraderie. Your card mate in Terry, he kind of had a slow start to get things going, and then he birdies 4 out of the last 5 holes to bring his round back, and he's going to be able to sleep a little better tonight.
Yeah.
With that, how do you get that focus back for you?
It's just knowing that there's a lot of holes left. Really, that's what did it for me. It was 22 holes instead of 18. So the slow start, I knew I had still a lot of holes left to play, and I knew that I just had a lot of holes to make back what I had not capitalized on the front 9, front few holes. So. Sure. So I just knew that there was a lot of holes left, and I just, like I said, salvaged my round so that I'm not completely out of the tournament.
No, you're right there. So final question of the day will be, there was some questioning out on the Facebook. It's one of the social media things. I don't know if you've heard of it. But there was a question about how many holes should a round of golf be? You just mentioned 22 holes. You had extra holes to play. You got to bring it back. You were able to come in with a strong finish. Does it matter to you how many holes it is? 18, 22, or any other number?
No, I don't think it really matters to me. I don't. I can see where there could be a standard to where it's only always 18 holes, but I think it's also unique for disc golf to be sometimes 22 holes, sometimes 27. So I really don't think that the standard should be 18. I think that it should be sometime it just depends on the course. Like if there's good enough holes to where you make 22 good holes, like that is here, then it's worth having the extra holes. So
there you have it. All right, well, that's Ricky Wysocki. He's going to be back out here. He's got 44 more holes to play at the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. We're back inside Circle Zero, and I'm joined by T3J. All right, let's start right there. What's this nickname?
It acquired from playing leagues out here, just because everybody had kind of nicknames that I saw, and I just kind of worked my way up to pro and got my nickname and just went from there.
You just keep, do you feel like your rating can indicate just how crazy your nickname gets?
I think more my style more than anything.
All right. And what's it stand for?
T3J, Timothy John Johnson Jr., and that's because little after playing leagues here for a while, there's another Tim Johnson. So everybody kept thinking that I was him.
You're the other Tim Johnson, but...
But I'm the junior. And then I just made my alias T3J, so it was a lot easier.
Well, most importantly, you made it onto the leader card. You came out here and shot incredibly well. Tell everyone a couple of your highlights from today's round.
I don't know. After a disappointing post hit for a 3 on hole 1, I kind of told myself to buckle down with my putting and stop being so shaky. And hole 4, the hallway shot, I got one guy said it was the farthest shot of the day. I threw a zombie all the way up the middle, full flex shot, forehand, and got it within not even 100 of the basket, laid it up for my 3, and then there's a few other ones. But the long hallway shots were really good with my forces and Nuco S's.
Well, and that's what you need out here, is to keep it in the fairway. So you must have stayed out of trouble even after a rough start.
I've never played with any of these kind of caliber players, and this is only my second A tier ever, so I look forward to it, and I just look to making solid shots, good putts.
Any changes or reconsiderations of things you're going to do out there?
Be smarter with my up shots, I guess you could say, and just keep my putting right where it was today, because I think that's mostly where it was. That putting.
They get it done on the green. Do you know what your Circle 1 and Circle 2 percentages were on U-Disc?
I don't know. I'm guessing within 80%.
Okay. Well, it must have been pretty good. So we're looking forward to seeing a new guy. This is TJ3T3. Yeah, this is the new guy. We're going to see him on the leader card for Saturday's action right here at the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. Joining me now inside Circle Zero is Dutch Napier. And Dutch, right now in the clubhouse, you are in second place with a very solid round of 14 under par.
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about that start. You came out very hot out of the gates. What was going right for you?
Everything was going right today. I was hitting my lines and making putts. I birdied the first 7 and then wasn't in position to score on the next one. And so I just pitched up and took a easy 4.
So when you start out something like that and you birdie the first 7, are you already thinking about just maintaining? Are you thinking about staying on fire? What are some of the thought process? Because you definitely are in a zone. How do you want to stay in that zone?
I've actually been doing a lot of mental homework, and for me in the zone, I've been telling myself no thank you when bad thoughts come in. So I just don't listen to them, tell them no thanks.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Give us a highlight, maybe first couple of holes, some of the things that you were doing exceptionally well. Was it your driving, your putting, or was it just all coming easy?
It was all just coming easy. I was putting myself in position to score. Driving was hitting the fairways, and inside the circle putting, they were all going right in the middle. So I felt, like the basket was really big today.
Let's break down one of the most beautiful holes, and certainly a signature hole, not just here but around the world, is hole number 4. If you're playing the regular course, it was your 3rd hole of the round though. 444 feet, par 4, hole 4. Talk about it.
I went stable PA 1 off the tee pad and wound up in the middle of the fairway, and my upshot was short and not great, but I canned probably about a 45-foot putt for the 3.
Yeah, you can't complain about that. Now, before you went out yesterday and we were discussing practice rounds and how you were going to be attacking this place, you felt like distance isn't a huge advantage out on this course. And you say that kind of plays into your game a little bit. You're more of a technical player, and you're getting it done around the greens. You feel like that played out just as it did today?
Yeah, most definitely. And then also, I think I might have only threw 3 shots with actual drivers. The rest was all fairways, mid-ranges, and putters.
Wow. Anything on the back 9 or the back half of the course that was exceptionally spectacular for you?
No, not spectacular. I had a couple bogeys coming in on the back, but like I said, at the end of that, after the second bogey, I just told myself no thank you again, and picked it back up and went birdie to finish. There
you go. Say no bogeys, no thanks to the bogeys out there. I like that mentality. Well, you're shooting very well. We wish you the best of luck. You got I got to do the math. You got 44 holes left, 2 rounds left out here. Anything you're going to do differently when you head out there on Saturday?
No, just try to stay out of my own head.
All right. Say no thank you to the negative thoughts.
No thank you.
That's Dutch Napier, a.k.a. Batman. We're looking forward to him on the leader card Saturday afternoon.
Just like any professional sport, I think, there's always nerves involved, and it's just a matter of how you handle them. Everyone's got them. And everyone handles them differently, as you can see. A lot of people, have their own way of handling it. But for me, I've played enough tournaments to where I've found ways to not let it affect me too much. Obviously it's going to be there, and I know it's going to be there, so I just have that in mind when I step up to the first hole.
I'd like to say no nerves, but a little nerves probably. I think it's more adrenaline and more anxiousness to get on the course and start playing some good shots.
There's some pressure out there, when they call your name up there and everybody gets quiet, all eyes are on you. It's you feel the nerves, but I think that's a good thing, because that's what keeps you in the moment. It keeps you fired up, so having some nerves and some pressure I think is really good. You just got to be able to harness it a certain way and take control of it.
For me, the first tee of any tournament is just an exciting moment. There's a little bit of nerves. I think everybody is a little bit nervous, and I think you kind of have to be. If I stepped up to the first tee of any tournament round, first day or last day, and didn't have a little bit of nerves, so I like that little nervous excitement. Let's do this.
Director Steve Dodge, and Steve, very exciting.
We have Nathan Sexton out of North Carolina, and he's representing Innova Disc.
And Nate Sexton just flashing in front of the basket here on hole 1.
Dutch Napier out of Kentucky, and he throws Prodigy.
And Dutch going just behind the basket with a great shot here on
Next
one.
guy, Alex Geisinger from right here in Minnesota, representing Innova.
And a great skip there by Geisinger, throwing his Metal Flake Firebird.
Also from right here in Minnesota, Colin Bailey, he's throwing Prodigy.
And a little roughage slows that down as we are here on hole one. We're so glad you could join us here for our second round of the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. Occasionally players will have a few jitters on hole one. Let's check in with a few of our top pros to see how they handle them.
Welcome everybody. I'm here at Blue Ribbon Pines Disc Golf Course in East Bethel, Minnesota. We're standing here on hole one. It's about 290 feet. Did I get that right? Or 270, somewhere in between there. They got a huge ace pot going on today, so hopefully I can step out of the car and ring one. I got one practice shot in, and the weather's beautiful today, so should be a fun weekend of disc golf for all the spectators back home. Give everybody a shout out for tuning into the Disc Golf Guy, and we'll be back with live action shortly. Thank you. How's that, buddy?
Just like any professional sport, I think, there's always nerves involved, and it's just a matter of how you handle them. Everyone's got them, and everyone handles them differently. As you can see, a lot of people, have their own way of handling it. But for me, I've played enough tournaments to when I step up at the first hole.
I'd like to say a little.
It's quiet. All eyes are on you. It's you feel the nerves. But I think that's a good thing because that's what keeps you in the moment. It keeps you fired up. So having some nerves and pressure as I think is really good. You just got to be able to harness it a certain way and take control of it.
For me, the first tee of any tournament is just an exciting moment. There's a little bit of nerves. I think everybody is a little bit nervous, and I think you kind of have to be. If I stepped up to the first tee of any tournament round, first day or last day, and didn't have a little bit of nerves, I would be kind of worried a little bit. So I like that little nervous excitement, and really it's just, come on, man, let's do this.
And Colin is in for the birdie. You watched Dutch Napier throw his putt. That was actually his second putt. He had hit the tree trying to come out of the left-hand side. So Dutch tapped in for his three, and we see birdies here by the rest of the group. We've got a brief walk and a little bit of wind and maybe even a sprinkle. We're moving over to hole two. You're watching 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
Hey, this is Dutch Napier. We're at Blue Ribbon Pines, hole 2, 275 feet. I'm throwing a seasoned M3 and trying to get the hyzer flip, and you don't want to be missed right, so the left is more forgiving.
The Vamp is a fairway driver that is easy to throw. With speed, it has amazing glide that will stretch your distance to its maximum. Players with good control and arm speed will love this disc as a go-to roller. Newer players will love its forgiving flight characteristics.
This is a disc where if I put this out hard, have it sit up, ride that ante line, and not give up.
For the most part, just throw it nice and flat and it'll go to the right for you just like you want it to.
Another shot I like this for is throwing a roller. Get it maybe slight anti-angle. It's just going to keep rolling over and finish nice and strong.
You will absolutely love the Vamp's glide and ability to fly far at low speeds.
And joining us here on hole 2, Dynamite has joined us. He'll be co-commentating here today.
It looks like much like yesterday, Sexton and Geisinger will be starting birdie. I got a very fortunate nose up skip to the bucket. He's about 15 short.
Dutch needs a little turn on that as it's moving left to right. He'll be in putting range from there. Dana, we're moving down the fairway here of hole number 2. You just came off of the course for your second round. Kind of surprised to see you having to tee off as early as you did today. Did the momentum swing any for you this afternoon or this morning's round?
You know, I thought it was swinging when I started out birdie, and then I let off a great drive on 3, which got a really late kick, and it actually kicked me all the way out of bounds. And then from there, my round was not all that great. I did shoot better than yesterday, but only by a stick. Came in at even today. Another poor performance and a mix of not getting off the tee and missed putts inside of the circle. But I'll likely be playing again early tomorrow, and maybe I'll come hang out with you and the Smashies.
And Dutch with no problems here on hole number 2. We're going to see the same out of the rest of the group. And a combined, 25 feet for the entire group at most here, Dana?
Yeah, that's impressive throws, and we saw a couple different flights from everybody. We had Geisinger and Colin throw more of a power turn, while Dutch threw the flippy disc, Sexton with the forehand. All great shots, all birdies.
We'll be back with you on hole 3 in just a few moments.
Hey, Paul Uliberry here, sponsored by Prodigy Discs. I'm here at Blue Ribbon Pines, hole 4, notably one of the most scenic holes and well-known holes in the world. 444 feet. It's a par 4. As you can see, straight down the middle. You gotta throw it straight in as far as you can. There's several ways you can play it. Mid-range down the tube, kind of short, is the way I see a lot of people play it, but I kind of go after it with a power shot, trying to get as far down there as I possibly can.
Flashflight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flashflight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
All the way through.
And Dutch with a PA1 off the tee, going with a more controlled shot. That was his exact strategy out here yesterday. And after getting a kick on the left side, it looked like it was favorable towards the center of the fairway. Colin quickly pitches out. He's still left side of the tree line here. And Geisinger, after going with a Mako off the tee, a mid-range, finds himself now on the left side of the fairway.
See it over there, Nate?
Looking for Sexton's drive. Dana, it would almost be a blessing in disguise if Nate were to carry all the way to the parallel fairway.
Yeah, he'll have an opportunity to cover a lot of ground on his second shot if he obviously doesn't have to pitch over to our fairway. He did find his disc. He is in the middle of the woods between the two fairways, so he's likely going to pitch out back to the center of our fairway.
That has carried out of bounds on the left-hand side. carrying the left side of the outer edge of the fairway the entire way with a forehand. Geisinger is going to be able to tap in for a 4. What a phenomenal shot.
Great kick to get him over into that spot, and then he executed the shot perfectly.
Come on.
Colin continues to work his way down the fairway. That kicked just a little bit in on the right. He should be able to get up and down from there now. Sexton is looking to pitch up here and get himself back to the fairway.
And Sexton with not too many options other than, as you said, just pinching out to the fairway. Carried a little bit further than he wanted to. However, he's obviously quite versed with his backhand and forehand capabilities. He should be able to get up and down from there. We are also reporting that right now Paul Macbeth is perfect on the first 6 holes. He is 6 under through 6. And we are, of course, going to take our additional camera coverage. We're going to move over there, and we're going to see if we can catch up and see what Paul Macbeth is doing on the 4th card. Low and a little bit light there. He could have put a little more pepper on that one.
Yeah, I think he's going to be right inside or right outside of the circle. If he putted like he did yesterday, Sexton will be happy to walk away with a par on this hole. And man, one of the best holes in disc golf here. And unfortunately, we haven't seen too many good shots on it here today.
It seems as if it is having a late lunch, and that is the leader card, that is.
Great upshot from Bailey right there. He jump putted from, it's got to be 100 feet out, and zipped right past the basket. Looks like Dutch is lining up his shot, finding his mark from out of bounds. It should be pretty easy to mark. I imagine it came straight across. He's going to have a little left to right shot, most likely a backhand putter here. I'd look for him to get up and down and walk away with a 5.
Light forehand approach there by Dutch.
Good putt,
Dana, you called it. Sexton, no problems here. He was putting lights out yesterday. Made almost every putt he had the opportunity to throw out there. He's going to walk away with a par.
Yeah, not too bad. Any day you can walk away with a 4 on this hole. Obviously, these guys wanted to score some birdies, but if you're not going to birdie, you might as well take a 4. Got Dutch with the 25-footer.
And Dutch will be happy just to get off of this Gorgeous signature hole. And Alex will tap in. We have a very brief walk, but we're going to stand down for just a few moments for a word from our sponsors.
This is the Notch, Vibrum's wicked overstable fairway driver. It can handle tons of power, laughs at winds, and still has a fair amount of glide.
If I need to get left and I don't want to risk falling right, I'm going to throw the Notch. I'll be able to pound it pretty hard and it's going to stay stable for me.
Pros are definitely going to love this disc in a headwind. They're just going to feel confident every time they step up.
This is a disc that I can really trust in a windy situation. I can throw it as hard as I want. I know it's going to come back and finish left every single time.
It's just a nice, strong, beefy fairway shot.
Take the Olace and Solace, marry them, give them a small wing child. That's the Notch.
Dana, fair to say no one throws out an orc like Nate Sexton.
Does anyone even throw them?
Don't do it.
And Geisinger seems to be filtering through here.
Yeah, he played that backhand rock shot perfectly. Bailey on the tee with a mid.
And it seems as if they're all recovering from the previous hole, with all four of them getting off the tee very cleanly here on this combined holes 5 to 6 in the traditional layout.
Yeah, these last two holes have been kind of fun off the tee, seeing the shots that these players are choosing. It's not often you see all the creativity. Like the previous hole, we had a putter off the tee, we had a mid-range, we had a sidearm, and then we had a fairway driver. Where here we had a couple backhand shots, a couple sidearm shots. It's nice to see the players pulling out different shots for everybody and actually having to make some shot-making decisions.
Well, and that's really also a testament to the course that's Blue Ribbon Pines. There are certainly gaps and preferred routes to take on any given hole. However, the fact that there's options for those players to do it just talks about how great this course is. So many people love it, and that's one of the reasons.
Speaking of options, we are coming up to the bend here on these combined holes, and there are options. There is out-of-bounds field left which that is the easiest way to get to the basket. Where Sexton is, he's got quite a few trees, and you can go through the woods here. I'm not quite sure what kind of place Sexton is at. He may just have to lay up.
And as you said, Dana, there are quite a few trees between him and the basket. One jumping out in front of him here on his forehand attempt.
Yeah, and he's going to have another tough shot in front of him. He might now be forced to take the right gap, which is, there's a lot more trees going that way versus going over the out-of-bounds field on the left. He may be able to chip a forehand over there. I'm not sure the angle he has, but I know that that's what he would like because that's the easiest way to get on the green.
A kick which keeps him in bounds. And Dana, if there's one thing that I've noticed in the brief round and a half or so that we've been out here this weekend is if you don't have a forehand on this course, you're at a distinct disadvantage. Of course, there's a lot of right and left bending holes, but just so many of the angles and slopes and the way that the disc needs to finish out here is advantageous to have a forehand shot.
Oh, most definitely. I can throw a forehand, but I'm definitely throwing, it's not my preferred shot, but I'm pulling a forehand out for probably four, maybe 5 tee shots out here, and that's more than normal.
Keep going.
And tough to tell if that cleared the OB or not. It certainly got caught up. We'll know in a minute as to whether or not that was OB. Alex says he thinks it's going to be close. And Dana, just to prove how challenging this hole is, we saw 4 relatively good tee shots here, and all 4 of the players have struggled with their approach shots.
Yeah, this hole, unless you're in one of the few perfect spots to attack the green, it's going to be really hard to get up there and get a birdie. And with these guys wanting to birdie it, no matter where they were at, they were all going for the green, and it hasn't quite worked out for them. Geisinger, I believe, had the best angle on the green, but he was unable to convert, and he's going to be lucky if he's in bounds. Sexton, he's got about 150 trees between him and the basket. Can't tell if he's lining up the inside route or the outside route. Looks like outside.
And hitting at the base of a tree, he could have used the right flare up there onto that right side toward the pin. However, it hit the base of the tree and then ultimately kind of flopped over to the left. A little finishing skip could have meant at least another 10 or 12 feet.
Most definitely, but he is lucky that his disc did not stand up and roll out of bounds or kick off that tree and go out of bounds. The other two trees to the left of the one he hit, if you hit those, odds are you are going to end up out of bounds. So he's going to have a long look at the, will that be a par? Yep, he'll have a long look at the par.
Get up there. Good layout.
Nice.
Good layout.
My ass. And I turned around and said, "Who said that?" And I went back there. And the guy's like, "It was me." My God, Ken. Real classy, man.
Oh!
It's too bad he just kissed it. It's this dude trying to talk.
Just a bit high on his attempt there by Geisinger. He was directly on line, but just 12 inches or so too high.
That took a really funky bounce off that basket, hit the top and ricocheted right. Be interested to see where it ended up.
And Sexton's off the front of the rim. That's going to be a bogey 5 for him here. And Geisinger waiting just a moment for the gallery and players to take their positions. Colin Bailey's going to be tapping in. We're going to check in with our West Coast stats analyst, Jamie Thomas. He's got some action for us here during the second round of the 2000 Minnesota Majestic.
Welcome back into the Disc Golf Pro Tour stats booth. We're powered by UDisc. After one round at Blue Ribbon Pines, the Majestic is in full swing. Nate Sexton has taken advantage early of the first 22 holes. We're going to take a look at how he compares in his UDisc stats measurements to the rest of the field. And the one thing that really stands out to me as we do so is circle 1 in regulation. Getting inside the 10-meter circle with the opportunity for birdie or better. While the field average was about 1 out of every 3 holes, Nate Sexton was better than 3 out of every 4 holes he played. He was looking at a birdie putt. That goes to show is he never took more than 2 consecutive pars in a row, and he only took 2 consecutive pars 1 time in his entire round. Now, if you compare that to the rest of the field, we can see that the circle in regulation and the fairway hit percentages for the entire lead card are far above the field averages. Prodigy teammates Dutch Napier and Colin Bailey are leading the lead card yesterday at 82%. Geisinger and Sexton still a solid 73%. It really proves that accuracy is crucial on the technical holes out here at Blue Ribbon Pines, and you also need to get up and down from the long distances, get inside the circle, and get those birdies when you can. The entire lead card did not bogey a single par 4 yesterday, and there's 7 of the 22 holes playing the par 4 in this layout, and most of them had been birdied. Every single par 4 yesterday was birdied by at least 2 of these 4 people that you will see playing on the lead card on Saturday afternoon. Let's get back to it for a great bunch of Saturday action at Blue Ribbon Pines.
Geisinger with a putter off the tee here. Looks like he's gotten a good kick.
And Bailey squares up the first tree, kicks left.
Come on out. Yep. Here you go.
And Dutch's shot makes it through cleanly. And Nate with a very smart, light layup off the tee. Looks to be a little bit short of what he was going for there, Dana.
Yeah, I don't think he got past the 3 trees that you really want to get past on this hole. It was a nice straight shot, the cleanest looking of the card, but he might be pinched up on the 3 trees between the pond and then the basket.
They'll move down the left side fairway to look for Colin Bailey's shot, and while they're placing that, we have to bring attention to the fact that a moment ago someone we'll stand down for one moment here. And catching one of the trees that Dana was just speaking of is Colin Bailey's approach shot. He's going to be able to pitch over the pond, but he's going to have to throw a very well executed stand-up shot if he's going to try and get to this pin and still walk away with a par 4. And Dana, what I was just referencing a moment ago is Nate Sexton expressed a little bit of frustration during the middle of the last hole, telling us that after he had thrown a shot, one of the spectators had made a comment in reference to the interview he had given us yesterday. While finishing up his round, he told us that felt like the course was a little soft in a few spots, just meaning that he thinks it could be a little bit more challenging in a couple of spots, maybe lengthen the holes. He likes the holes, he likes the course. He just thinks there's a little bit of opportunity there. And someone had brought that to his attention after a throw here today, and it has certainly shook him up and frustrated him.
Great shot there from Bailey, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Sexton does bounce back from that. I heard him say that's the most classless thing that's ever been said to him on a disc golf course in 15 years. He definitely was a little bit shaken. He did step up and throw a pretty good shot here. He's a little pinched up on these trees. I hope he's not too close so he can get his swing off without being worrying about hitting his hand.
And Geisingers seem to flip up and turn over on him, yelling at his disc not to do that. As you mentioned, Dana, he's going to have these trees to contend with. We'll see if he's got a good angle at it. And Nate, Dana, you said it exactly right. He was pinched up against those trees. He cleared the first tree that was directly in front of him. However, the secondary one was protruding out just a little bit, and he caught the edge of it. And that is a very uncharacteristic mistake, and it's going to be a costly one. That's going to cost him at least an additional stroke or two, depending on how he can get up and down.
Yeah, he's likely going to have to pitch up 2 in front of the drop zone, which is where you really want your drive to land, and then attack the green from there. Best he can do is get a bogey, and I just hope he can shake this off, because we usually don't see a shot like that from Sexton.
Anytime you're in a tightly wooded course such as this, or what we saw a few weeks ago at Rolling Ridge, or even Maple Hill as well, sometimes when you're off just a little bit, your mistakes can be magnified greatly. And we see here he hit the tree less than 10 feet in front of him, but it still carried more than 100 feet to the left side. He's actually near another fairway, and having an exchange even with Paul Macbeth as he's over off in the distance.
Yeah, it looks like Macbeth is chuckling. I'm assuming Nate probably told him what was said to him over here on the previous hole, and Nate tried to go through a ton of trees, almost cleared the pond, came up about 2 feet short, so he's going to be going to... Is he going to go to the drop zone from here?
I believe he moves to the drop zone, which, like you said, Dana, this is typically a position you'd like to be in off of your tee shot. Dutch Napier has not even thrown his second shot, and we hate to see it. Nate's imploding here on this hole. We're hoping that he can mentally get it back together here and finish out strong. Batman's going into the cave over there, coming up just a bit short. That should leave him a long putt for birdie 3. And our leader, Nate Sexton, is going to fall far off the lead here and hand over a number of strokes. Let's see if he can throw a great shot, get up and down, and get off this hole. And Sexton needs that just to finish. And finally this time he gets a stroke of good luck with the kick to the left side. I was waiting for that to hyzer up and finish. However, a kick toward the basket will be just as effective.
Yeah, off the hand, it looked like he pured the gap to the basket, but I think it was a rock 3. It kept drifting. Drifted enough to miss that tree and get the kick of the day so far.
Of course, we invite everyone to follow along. If you're not able to watch the video or listen to the sweet, sultry sounds of dynamite, you should be on udiscalive.com watching shot-by-shot action. We looked earlier today. We see a number of our top professionals were bitten here on this hole, as it's been very challenging. Some relatively high scores we've seen earlier today.
I'm not even playing the hole, and I'm still getting bitten. These mosquitoes are ferocious. But Geisinger, I can tell you from experience, he's only about 70 feet away from the basket, but he's not in a good place. There's a lot of trees. There might be a small gap. He's close to 100 feet. Looks like he's going through the woods, lining it up. He's going to need a good shot here.
safe to say he's got some work to do. Looks like he's lining up an over route, possibly a long jumper. And he gets caught up about halfway through. Dana, as you were saying, that is very congested in there. He still may not have a clean look at the basket, so he may have squandered this relatively good tee shot that he had.
Yeah, he made a big mistake overpowering his rock on the second shot. He was in a really good spot, and especially for someone with his power and accuracy with a mid-range disc, you'd expect him to be getting up at least into the circle two from there. But he was a little juiced, got over on it, and he's going to be scrambling here to take a par.
Off on our left-hand side, I'm seeing Ricky Wysocki, who was on our featured card yesterday. I see him in an adjacent fairway, one that parallels the hole that we're on right now. He's going to be throwing an approach shot in just a moment. Of course, continue to follow the scores on udisc.live.com. And he knew it. The leaping jump putt. Great shot there by Colin Bailey. Looks to be about 40 feet or so. Great circle two putt. Looks like Alex Geisinger may be standing down because there's some distractions off on the adjacent fairway I just mentioned. A few moments ago we heard a large eruption from the gallery. Ricky Wysocki threw a good approach shot. I think we also see Dustin Keegan off in the distance. I believe Cale Laviska and
Paul Oman.
And Paul Oman on that card.
I'm gonna take a walk over there and see what's going on, see if anybody's shooting hot in that card. I'll report back here.
And as Dana said, he's going to move over to the card and see what he can find going on. Both Dutch Napier and Alex Geisinger are waiting on the card off in a distance.
Yeah, nice putt.
Great putt by Dutch Napier. Also a great putt by Alex Geisinger. And Nate Sexton is in. We're going to take a very brief break as we just have less than 100 feet to the tee on the next hole. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
Great call. Great second kick. Don't turn over. Man.
Great shot there by Dutch from the left-hand side. He got the double kick here, one that put him to the left side and then one that kicked him back semi-right. And Dana, what'd you find out on the card that you just checked in with?
I went over and said hello to Kale and Paul. Watched Kale throw his upshot, threw a putter, skipped it off the water, up to the bucket for the birdie. They also did say that they had two near twos on hole 3. So I would have loved to see those shots, but two near threes or two near twos, not too exciting without the camera on them, huh?
Like we say, if video or it didn't count. Solid approach shot there by Bailey. And we'd be crazy not to discuss a little bit about the start that we've seen from both Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki. McBeth getting perfect so far, 7 for 7 here. And Ricky Wysocki starting out birdieing 6 out of the first 8, is that correct?
That is correct. Paul McBeth did go 7 for 7. Then he went par on 8 and 9, and we'll see what he does as he moves on to the back section of the course. And Ricky Wysocki, he, after 8 holes, he was 6 under. He is on hole 9 right now, so both of those guys are currently tied for second with Dutch Napier, only 1 throw behind Nate Sexton.
And from close to 80, maybe 90 feet or further, Geisinger draws metal This is after we saw him pure this hole yesterday, put it right next to the basket. Today he's going to have to settle for the par, but great attempt there from way downtown. I don't know if that was Minneapolis or St. Paul, but it was way downtown.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one of the most beautiful par threes on the course. It's really difficult off the tee, and that's the main goal, is to get off the tee here. And Sexton did that. He went with the forehand, and after he threw it, he said, I should have turned it a little bit. And he didn't, and he's just short of pin high, probably about 65 feet, right on Circle 2's edge.
And comes up just short with his attempt. Soon Dana will be moving to the shortest hole here on the course, found at Blue Ribbon Pines during the tournament layout at least. 155 feet. Yesterday we saw all 4 competitors struggle drastically on this hole, as in all 4 hit trees, and they barely walked away with a star frame of pars.
Yeah, I watched that, and I couldn't get that image out of my head, and that's why I hit first tree both rounds this weekend.
And after Dutch threw his approach shot, he said that was for me. I'm going to take the shout out there by Batman. Great shot, great recovery, walking away with a par. And both Sexton and Bailey will tap in. We'll be back with you in a few moments. You're watching the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. And a gentle kick there, moving to the right side. And he catches a late tree, but he's still got a putt for 2 from there. And slipping through all the trees on the right-hand side, we see a second jump putt from the group. And that's done by Nate Sexton and his dart. Right now we're looking at Nate Sexton at 16 under par. Dutch Napier at 15. Geisinger 13. Colin Bailey at 12. We also have a few other scores, as you can keep up to date on UDisc. We see Ricky Wysocki with his hot start has moved into a tie for second, along with Paul Macbeth. Paul Ulibarri, shooting pretty well here today as well, has moved into a tie for fifth, along with Shasta Chris and Bradley Williams. No problem for Nate Sexton. Again, we see all 4 players within 20 feet of the pin.
Hey, mine was 22, buddy.
Correction, Napier says he was 22 feet from the pin. And with a brief walk, we're going to make our way over to hole number 8. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
This is the arch. We took the amazing qualities of the lace, put it on a smaller winged disc, and that's where the arch was born.
This is a great shot. It's a controllable hyzer. For intermediate players, it's going to be more stable, but if you're an advanced or pro player, you're going to just want to rip this nice, hard, and straight. You don't have to worry about it moving left to right.
For me, I use the shot a lot on flip up to flat shots. Fly straight forever and still trust it's going to fade at the end of the flight.
Fast, great glide, and easy handling make this a go-to disc right out of the box.
Seconds, you said?
Less than. Johnny, what do we got?
Dutch.
Let's go. Yeah, we're good. Yep.
And Dutch with a great forehand. It catches a late tree, but it's carried most of the fairway.
No. Get off. Come on, dude. Oh no.
And what looks to be catching the same late tree as Dutch did. Again, a great shot there by Nate Sexton. If there's anyone I would want to put on a tee with this type of angle and distance, Nate Sexton's the guy I would put in that position.
On the right? Oh yeah.
And Alex needs that to come up short of the pond. Normally your players aren't worried about carrying all the way to the pond here. However, he should be short of that. He's going to look to pitch over, hopefully walk away with the par 4.
Yeah, that was an incredible second shot by Geisinger right there. And we're now walking down the fairway, going to find out if Colin stayed in bounds or not. He did, in fact, catch a break. He did not kick all the way to the out-of-bounds stakes on his right. He's not in a great position, but he's only throwing 2, not throwing 3 from out of bounds. And while his drive did not kick out of bounds, his upshot may have kicked out of bounds. Getting word that it is in bounds. It's going to be close to the out of bounds line. I believe, as we have not got up to Dutch and Nate Sexton's drives, both of which will be looking at an opportunity for birdie. Okay, so the out-of-bounds line does jut off to the right. Lucky for Bailey. If it did continue on in the direction it was, he would be out of bounds. Again, both throws were in bounds. He's looking to get back to the fairway here.
Nice shot, Colin.
Yeah,
And 3 throws later, he is close to the landing zone where you want to be off the tee. Dutch smartly lays up, throws a patent pending. He's going to have a little pitch up to the basket from there.
And Nate Sexton's Firebird was heading straight for the chains right out of his hands. Dana, I think he's looking to get back on track here.
Yeah, definitely. That was moving pretty quick. It caught the left side of the chains. I believe it stayed pretty close to the basket, and definitely what he needs to get back on track here.
Get off it.
And that also was heading right toward the basket, however. There's a crooked tree hanging out from the left-hand side, and that held him up from going over the pond. That is a pond you do not want to throw in, not just because of the penalty. I just don't think you're going to get your disc back if you do.
No, it's gross. You might, and if you do try to go in and get it, 1, you'll get in trouble. 2, you might catch something.
Oh no, drop.
And the gallery over at the shack is telling us that is in fact safe. Wow, and quite the roller coaster of emotions here by Geisinger. For a moment, everyone was holding their breath thinking that was going in the basket. It hits the top entrapment and then nearly rolls OB, Dana.
Yeah, roller coaster of emotions here for Alex and for the home crowd.
And yet another good run here. Seems that everyone's putters are heating up as we're making the turn and heading into the back half of the course. And Dana, when players talk about death putts, that is the definition of one right there for Nate Sexton. He had an inside the circle putt with water OB looming directly behind it. And that is about as a fortunate break as you could possibly imagine. High right basket and rolls into the water.
And this has absolutely become worst case scenario for Bailey. He flirted with out of bounds on his first two throws, finally got back on track into the middle of the fairway, caught a break, not going in the water on his upshot, then his putt rolls out of bounds. He just wants to get as far away as possible from this hole as he can. Geisinger, who caught a break not rolling in the water, taps in. Sexton, I know he can't be happy missing the inside the circle putt. A lot of frustration here on the lead card.
Dana, we talk all the time about people like Wysocki and Macbeth turning it on to come chasing down a leader card. They're not only heating up, but these guys seem to be cooling down. We're in for a pretty serious battle here today. We're going to stand down for just a moment as we move over to hole number 9. And we'll be back with you in just a few moments with Dana Vici and the Disc Golf Guy.
Well, after a bogey and double bogey by Nate Sexton, the double bogey coming courtesy of a spectator intentionally distracting him during a round, which is unconscionable to me. We hope he can get back and play at a high level so we can continue to see this great golf. Things are getting interesting, however. Dutch Napier is now only one back at 15 under par. He is tied with Ricky Wysocki and Paul Macbeth, who have made incredible charges so far. Both are bogey-free. Macbeth got the first 7 on the course. Ricky the first 4, and he's 6 through 8. Interesting things going on at Blue Ribbon Pines. It'll come down to a great lead card tomorrow, no matter how it shakes out. Let's see what else is going to happen. Back to Terry.
The reflex chain on the Mach X connects 3 separate strands of chain together at an angle, designed to redirect discs into the basket. The unique recoil chain design fuses chain elements together near the base of the chain, absorbing the disc's energy while maintaining the proper amount of tension on the outer chain to catch even the most errant putts.
Cool.
And it looks like Dutch is, in fact, out of bounds off the tee here of hole 9. Now, Geisinger was licking his chops as he walked up to the tee pad. Looks like he's getting the safe call. I'm not quite sure how, but we'll get up there and find out. Sexton corrects on the first 2 mistakes, takes it a little wider. He's getting a little bit of round of applause. Bailey with the mean face. Needs to be a little wider. He's getting the safe call. Good shot from Bailey.
And again, we'd like to thank Jamie Thomas out on the West Coast for giving us our statistical analysis between him as well as our friends over at UDisc. We learned that right now, Philo Brathwaite has the hottest round that's in the clubhouse for the day. Philo, a late entrance into the tournament, making the most of it, not having the day he was hoping for yesterday, but I have been informed that he has the hottest round in the clubhouse here during moving day on Saturday.
And it looks like the players are conferring with some spectators on where Dutch's disc did go out of bounds. While this looks like a straightforward hole, it is a really difficult par 3, and players are often, that I've seen, finding themselves hyzering in way too early, hitting the tree, and dropping out of bounds. And it looks like Dutch is getting a spot on the tee side of the ditch. Wow. Dutch lays down a forehand roller. It hops a railroad tie that surrounds one of the short baskets, curls up. It is going to be really close to being out of bounds. And I want to take this moment to give a shout out to Surly Brewing for sponsoring the event. I just stopped at the shack, picked up a Todd the Axeman. It's a incredibly good IPA. Bailey pitches up to about 20 feet. And I'm dying to see where this magical throw of Geisinger's ended up, because he sawed it off and really not sure how he got inbounds or... Excuse me, I'm coming over here to check out the angle on these stakes. There are not out of bounds lines, but the stakes, this is Dutch Napier's disc we are looking at. We're drawing imaginary out of bounds lines between the stakes. I almost want to say that it's too close to call. In these situations, there really should be an out of bounds line, but since there's not,
I believe so. Is what I would say. But the poles are fat, it's hard to tell. So I think if the string would wrap on this side,
Right.
would be how it would work. But it sounds like we don't have a string, so.
Quite long enough to get
I
to
don't think
both
it's long
poles.
enough, yeah. Let me look at it again with the idea of this being the line. It's so hard to tell. I feel like we just had to call it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Benefit to no painted lines.
Yeah.
all right, so Dutch does catch a break. They have established that the disc is going to be inbounds. He is outside the circle. Looks like Alex is now out. He's about 6 feet outside of circle 1. Sexton is just outside of circle 1. And then Dutch inbounds is going to be about the same distance as Sexton.
And not quite enough here by Geisinger. And after getting the call, as Dana mentioned, Dutch will be next to putt. And just short from one knee is Napier's attempt here. And Nate does the opposite of the previous two putts and throws just a bit high. And Colin is in. As our competitors clear out here from hole 9, we're going to be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned for the back half right here during round 2 of the Minnesota Majestic.
Probably about 5 feet by the maybe something. I think they're over there more. Yeah, I think they came in like right here. Here?
And a little forehand seems to work out for Geisinger.
Yeah.
And Sexton takes a forehand line, a little different than Geisinger. Should work out.
And a great looking shot there by Dutch. We're moving into a few birdie holes here in the wooded area. Jamie Thomas from the West Coast is going to talk about birdie percentages.
Hey guys, back in the Disc Golf Pro Tour Stats booth here. Let's have some fun for a second. Let's look at who's birdieing the biggest percentage of the holes played so far on this course. The man himself, Greg Barsby. He's birdied 70% of the holes he's played so far. 20% pars, 10% bogeys. Right behind him, some other big names. Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki hot on his heels in the mid-60s, as well as James Conrad, Eagle McMahon, and Cale LaVisca, 64% birdie rate at Blue Ribbon Pines.
And a moment ago, we saw Colin Bailey throw a forehand shot, which hit a tree near the basket and should drop him within easy par range. The rest of the card, however, looking to pick up a few birdies on this below ground basket. Sexton back on track here. We see that Sexton and McBeth were momentarily tied for the lead.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, Colin with a save here for the 3. And Geisinger is in. And Dutch with the ditch putt. Dutch in the ditch. Still birdie.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. It's a 2, and it's well needed after the 5 on the previous hole. Hopefully Dutch will use that momentum of the near ace, drop in 2 to get himself back on track and work himself back up the leaderboard.
There's going to be a very brief turnaround here. No more than 30 to 45 seconds for our competitors. This tee pad is also relatively close to the previous basket. So we will be back and ready for action here in just a few moments. Dana, we're seeing some sweet action taking place out on the course. Things are heating up on Saturday. Some people are making their moves. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It sounds like players from the 2nd through the 5th card are shooting very well and have actually leapfrogged a number of the players on the lead card. Sexton, with that birdie, does hang on to first place solo. And looks like we're ready to go here.
Alex with a forehand with his metal flake Firebird. Seems like that should work out for him. Not much response from the gallery. We'll see a forehand by Nate Sexton with his signature series Firebird as well. And Dana, if the players can repeat any 2 shots on this course back to back, it would have to be holes 10 and 11.
Yeah, definitely. It is a little bit different than the previous hole, as we did see Geisinger go with the flex shot, where this is more of the straight power forehand shot. But Sexton threw the exact same shot back to back holes.
And a great forehand here by Dutch Napier.
So while these holes do play similar in flight, there's one huge major difference. And we just played to a basket that is almost below ground. I don't want to say below ground. It's in a bowl or a ditch, whatever you want to call it. And now we're moving to a hanging basket. I like what the designers did here, going back to back with the extremes. I'm not a huge fan of the hanging basket. I'm fine with an elevated basket, but it is pretty cool and unique. You go from one hole where you're basically putting down, and the next hole with a basket that, I don't know, the upper section of the entrapment is what? How high do you think that is, Terry?
Taller than me, but that's not really saying much, Dana.
No. And it looks like all players are going to be inside of circle 1, and it almost pays off if you have a putt to be outside, because the basket is going to be a little more still than it might be if, say, you had a 25-footer and your competitor had a 20-footer.
And the gallery loves it. Alex from just inside the circle 1 indicator looking at about 30 feet there, and the rest of the competitors looks as if we'll see both Dutch and Colin less than 25 feet. And that was into the center of the chains. Dutch and the rest of the gallery very shocked by that. No one quite understands how in the world that came out.
And Colin is doing what I did before I putted. Is I went, steadied the basket from the previous putts. Dutch did putt. The basket was still moving a little bit. I don't know if that played into the dirty spit or not.
Yesterday I said that a pro tip, I believe, on this hole would be just if the competitors would leave their disc in the basket. I think that would be less disruptive. You disagree, huh, Dana?
Yeah, I totally disagree. I think the player, when you make your putt, you should go up and steady the basket for the next competitor. Same thing if Dutch taps out on the moving basket. Relatively difficult putt from only a couple feet away, but I think that the player that makes the putt should have to go and steady the basket. Similar to if you make a putt and then leave the links crossed, which happens quite a bit on chain stars, you'll see. I think players should make that basket acceptable for the next person putting. Geisinger jammed his putt with some force. It was moving. Neither him nor Dutch went and steadied it, and I don't know. We can only imagine if that played into the dirty spit or not.
Well, it looks as if we've caught up with our second card. We're going to stand down for a few moments, listen to a few words from our sponsors, and catch up with our new roaming camera, who's caught up with Ricky Wysocki.
This is the Valley, Vibrum's first second-generation fairway driver. It has a thinner flight plate, more contoured grip, and improved wing shape. Finesse players will love the way they can work this disc and make it perform.
This is going to be a great disc for a lot of different players. Throw a slight hyzer, flip up the flats, maybe get to roll a little bit, ante, but it's not going to roll over for you.
If I want to throw something that I feel I need to get right, but I need to not fall too far right, the Valley's definitely going to complete that task for me.
Slower speeds are going to like how straight it is. Your big arms are going to like how much work they can do out of it. Different angles, they can throw different shots with.
The Valley is strong enough to handle good power, while gentle enough to handle slower arm speeds. It's a perfect place to start.
Sit. Sit. Yeah, Kale. Come on, fam. Let's stack it up. Let's put that in, Paul. Hey, but Paul. You can't wait to put it in.
All right, Johnny. Johnny, how about 30 seconds or less? Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Stupid producer.
What do you say? If that's all it's gonna take is 30 seconds or something like that.
Okay.
Get off it.
Clear it.
Oh,
Nice. And Alex has to be happy with that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Nate's over the pond safely on that right side. He'll have another forehand attempt from there.
Come on. Do a nice kick. Get down.
Sit.
Get down.
Sit.
Hold on the hill.
And we find Colin Obi on the left-hand side.
Put over on it. Hit a tree, something friendly?
And a tree may have prevented Dutch from going OB on the left side, as we saw Colin Bailey do. Of course, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in with us here today. Watch our championship Saturday action. Tomorrow we're going to be wrapping up the Minnesota Majestic on the third and final round. This is not only a Disc Golf Pro Tour event number 3, but also a PDGA A-Tier, one of the longest running tournaments in the country, especially out here in the Midwest where both Dana Vici and I hail from. Dana, there's always great golf, and people seem to be putting the Majestic on their calendar, well, for the last few decades.
Most definitely. Minnesota's a place where, at least myself, when I come up here, it's weird, I can feel it, how big disc golf is. There's so many courses, so many players, so many enthusiastic players, and great private courses like Blue Ribbon Pines.
Dutch with a forehand finds the opening, and he's on the right side.
That could be close.
It's gonna work, but I missed my gap. You got that.
As Sexton said, it's going to work, but he missed his gap.
Yeah, he was going for that inside gap directly at the basket, flipped his Sexton Firebird over a little bit, and lucky for him, it is a Firebird. It finished right. He's going to have a putt somewhere around Circle 1's edge.
And not getting the skip you would expect. I don't know if it was just because of the angle, thus being a little bit more elevated, but took a negative skip there, hitting and digging more than it should have. And this is a crush by anyone's standards here. Geisinger flirting with the tree that he fought through on the left side, but now finds himself right side of the fairway. He's got a little turnover or possibly another forehand. Looking at less than 200 feet from the pin. And as we check the UDisc updates on udisclive.com, most notable to me is after seeing a hot start out of Paul Macbeth, I believe he started 7 for 7 and has certainly cooled down since then, as he's only sitting at 8 under par for the entire round, taking a semi-recent bogey on hole 14. We thought he was certainly making a charge, and he's still off to a good start, but instead, we are seeing the likes of Ricky Wysocki continue his solid play. Wysocki has now birdied the last 4 in a row. He's sitting at 10 under for the round, and if he keeps this up, he's going to be challenging that recent course record set just yesterday by Nate Sexton.
Yeah, Wysocki, I am looking at his stats on UDisc right here. if you're not logged on to UDisc, you need to. He's at 93% for fairway hits, and when he's missed the fairway, and Dutch Napier with a Circle 2's edge putt after getting that nasty spit out. That's got to feel good for Dutch. But Ricky has got a 100% scramble rate, and his Circle 1 putting 100%, and his Circle 2 putting is at 50%. So I'd look for Ricky to continue to make a move. He's now at 20 under, one ahead of Sexton. I don't see Nate's disc yet, so Nate is going to have to hit this putt to remain in the lead.
And Geisinger is not going to be taking advantage of that huge crush. Not able to get up and down for the birdie. He's going to just be tapping in for a par 4 here. If Colin can put this in, he can manage to salvage a par after the initial bogey drive. OB drive. And another hometown boy. A little Minnesota love here.
Speaking of Minnesota love, Kale Leviska is now at 18 under par, 2 off the pace. He's shooting a great round. He's at 9 under par through 15. And Sexton looks to be just inside the circle. And if anyone out there wants to straddle putt, go back, watch some footage of Nate Sexton in his straddle putt. It is absolutely picture perfect. He's got great balance, nice smooth weight transfer, great follow through. It's again, picture perfect.
Well, we are going to move up to hole number 13 in just a few moments. We're going to bring you as much coverage from as many cards as possible. Stay tuned. You're watching our sweet disc golf action here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Dana Might and Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, will be back with you during our second round of the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
What's up, guys? Dana Vici here. I'm at Blue Ribbon Pines standing on hole 13. It's a 761-foot par 4. This is called the driving range hole. As you can see, there's distances. You can measure how far you're throwing, but there's a little bit of a twist. We're standing up, it's got to be about 40 feet high. Blue Ribbon Pines does not have a whole lot of elevation, so what did they do? They built themselves a beautiful elevated tee pad. Here you're going to see players have to make a decision. Either grip and rip to go over the out of bounds creek, which is probably a 450 to 470 foot shot, or lay up short and then go for the green from there. There is, once you do cross the creek, there is an out of bounds area short of the basket. So there's going to be some decisions to be made if you don't get off a good shot, whether to lay up again and take your medicine and get the par, or grip and rip and go for that birdie. Personally, I'm going to grip and rip and get that birdie.
And Nate going with the turnover here. He had full huck face on. We're going to see if he comes up. And he is over the creek barrier, pushing just short of 500 feet. And Dutch with a very slow, smooth, controlled throw, not looking to get out and over the creek. Lands just behind the 400-foot sign.
Get in the hole.
And Geisinger, just as we said yesterday, puts a crush on it. Comes up just short of the 550 marker. He goes with a low golf shot, as he says. He's not going for full out distance. And also playing for the nice turnover here. Colin's gotten full flex out of that. That is beautiful. Almost keeping up with Geisinger at 1/10 the size of him. Great shot there by Colin Bailey. And And Dana, as we move down the fairway here, known as the driving range, some people on the board were calling you out saying that is not a 40-foot tall structure there that they throw from, maybe 15 to 20. I'd like to see your distance charts. Are you checking your UDIS stats for that?
I encourage everybody who doesn't think that's 40 feet high to send me a personal message and we'll duke it out. I realized after saying 40 feet, it's probably closer to 25, 30. Speaking of distance, Dutch is right on top of the 400-foot marker. All three of the other competitors did go ahead and grip and rip and clear that junk known as the ditch.
And Dutch can go with an all-out drive here. He's going to need that to get out and over the OB. Seems to be safe. There's OB long here on this hole, but I think he's placed himself on the right side of the pin.
Yeah, definitely. He's looks like he's going to have a putt. He's not putting at out of bounds or anything. Should be uninhibited. Very nice couple throws from Dutch. And these guys, Geisinger, he's just an absolute freak. He loves the grip and rip. Sexton, not necessarily known for his distance, but he put a really good move on that. It looks like he's about parallel with the 500-foot marker.
And you're right, he looks to be almost exactly at that 500-foot barrier, meaning he has approximately 250 feet to the pin. He's going to be carrying directly over the OB. That's unless he plays it safe. And it looks like he's going to line up beforehand, as you're indicating, Dana. And that is a way to help take that OB pond out of play, is by going out to the left-hand side of it. And nestling up near the pin is Nate Sexton. Solid approach shot. And Dana, I said that Colin Bailey is approximately 1/10 the size of Alex Geisinger, and seems like he just threw a few feet short of him on the drives. However, went deep here. He is OB long, and he's going to be putting back at the basket from at least 30 to 35 feet, and that's just to save the bogey or save the par.
Yeah, unfortunate mistake for Colin there. He let off a great rip. And as you said, he's not all that big, but he can throw far. He throws hard. Speaking of throwing hard, Geisinger right next to the 550-foot mark. He's likely going with his pick here. And he's going to be about 10 to 15 feet left of the basket, looking at the tap-in birdie. It gets so much easier if you can throw across this ditch here on your tee shot.
Well, and that was something I talked about with the competitors yesterday, especially Geisinger during our interview. And I said, how much are you trying to bite off here? And he said, I'm just trying to throw the longest golf shot that I can throw here. I'm not throwing a distance shot. I don't think I'm going to outdrive the basket or anything like that. I'm throwing a low line drive, just trying to get it as far as I can, but still have a controlled golf shot. So although he can throw 800 or 900 feet, he's really just to put this one in play and have a short approach.
Yeah, I would have loved to see Simon Lizotte out here. Him being the showman that he is, I'm sure would be going 360 off the tee, trying to throw as far as he can. It would have been fun to hear how far he threw on this hole. We're approaching the 700-foot mark. Do you think Simon could throw this far?
I think he could. The elevated green, or the elevated tee, you know, as you said, the 40-foot elevated tee up there. Up there, it would be great to see Simon. Simon, we just assume you're overseas watching. We wish you the best. We're sorry to hear of your injuries and hope that you can recover as quickly as possible. Speaking of recoveries, this is what Colin Bailey's trying to do right here. And short. Colin knows that an unforced error on that second shot has now cost him at least one, if not two strokes due to the penalty. And Dana, as we're walking across one of the more open areas here at this old sod farm, it was noted that plenty of people thought I'd be making some sod puns today, like it's sod day out here at the Pro Tour, things of that nature. I've refrained pretty well today.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed because you love those punny jokes. You're pretty punny. There's a punny.
Depends on the day. Doug in for the easy three. We have now looking into the lead momentarily. Par and Nate Sexton will be tapping in for a birdie three, and that will keep him now tied. We're going to stand down for just a few moments. We have a brief walk. We're going to stand down. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Sun King Discs, established in 2001. Florida's most respected name in disc sports. Official retail merchandiser of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Currently on tour supporting Discraft and DGA live inventory, free shipping at $12. All orders $19.99, ships in a box. Includes single discs, large selection of both stock and collectibles. Check out the website at www.sunkingdiscs.com.
And the crowd asking for it to get in. Nate with a textbook hyzer out around the trees. And Dutch going a little bit wider here.
Yeah, Dutch.
Great placement, and it checks up nicely.
Perfect.
And Geisinger's also found himself on the island green. Crowd getting a little rowdier here.
Was that a lawn dart or a metal flake firebird? I don't know.
And not to be shown up, Colin Bailey puts himself on the green in perfect position. 4 putts inside circle 1. And it, and as we move down the fairway, I'm now going to be joined briefly here by Steve Dodge, and it's a gorgeous day out here, Steve. We're seeing some really hot scores come in. In a few moments, we're going to check in with Jamie Thomas and a piece he's done for us on Drew Gibson's very solid round. But what are you seeing out here?
I don't know about Drew Gibson because I didn't look that far down the leaderboard, but I did see Ricky Wysocki obviously playing very well. And the big thing that I see is he's 94% fairway hits so far. He's doing it off the tee. 100% circle 1 doesn't hurt, but he's doing it off the tee, and he's gaining ground. And I don't know if he might even be in the lead.
He was before Nate Sexton tapped in on the previous hole. Rick be tied as of right now. The last time I checked on UDisc.
That's a really good point, Terry. He's got 3 or 4 holes in hand, so Nate has an opportunity to reclaim the lead as he catches up to Ricky holes-wise.
And as expected, Dutch Napier cleans up. I believe we're going to see 4 relatively easy putts here. Steve, safe to say that these are even in your range.
You know, having said that, I will say I watched Ricky play these 2 holes, and on the fairway hole, and this, what do you call that? Those little lawn markers out there with the distances?
They call that the
driving range. So on the driving range hole, Ricky's second shot, he thought it was short, and he was actually very upset with himself. He cleared the OB by about a foot and hit the birdie putt. And this hole, his drive actually hit this first tree. He was again upset, and then hit the birdie putt. So doesn't matter how you do it.
Ricky's kind of famous for that. He seems to rarely be truly content with the shot that he throws. Usually you hear him bust out the term junk or something along those lines, and then more often than not, he gets up and makes the putt. I think Ricky could shoot 18 under par and still not be completely happy with it. He has high expectations.
I think you're absolutely right. He does, and they're coming to fruition today because he's playing like money. And one question I have for you, Terry, this seems like really good coverage. We got multi-card going, aces right now. I think people should share this and tell their friends this is going on. We got another hour to go, and we got a horse race.
We certainly do. We'd love to have everyone share the link. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Grindr, wherever you need to go. Make sure you go out there and share that link. Push a few likes on there and let everyone know that you're watching. Dana, social media is where it's at. They need to tune into us. Well, you, for that beard at least.
Well, the cameras aren't on me, thankfully, but if you are on Facebook, that bottom left button is the share button. Go ahead and click that share button, and let's get another couple hundred people watching, because this is a lot of fun. And if you're not out here, you definitely need to be tuned in. And if you're out here and maybe hanging out over at the pro shop, maybe you're tuned in over there.
And it looks like our group's going to stand down as there are people on the tee of 21. And the lefty Al Hermosillo, who we saw during the final round at the Silver Cup. And then we also just saw Cam Todd throw his drive here on hole 21.
Not too great. We got Mitchell up here.
And many may know the name of Mitch Prevett, as he was one of the aces we saw yesterday. In fact, no one saw it. It was on a blind hole on hole number 10. However, he carded the ace. Congratulations to him. And in just a moment, it looks like we're ready to go. And yesterday we saw Nate Sexton throw off into the right-hand side. He had to work to get up and down for his par. This is Dutch Napier. And Dutch playing a big turnover here. Fortunately, it looked like the wind may have pushed that down, trying to get the full flex on it. And Geisinger, one of the few people in the tournament that can just go straight hyzer. And that shot will work. The crowd approves. Last to tee will be Colin Bailey. And Colin knew right away that that was turned over into this light headwind here on hole number 15, known as the Bomber. And we'll move down the fairway, and I'd like to again thank all of our gracious top pros that were able to provide us with some hole previews here for this weekend's event. I think to Nate Doss, Valerie Jenkins, who helped us with a few of the holes around this section of the course. Also saw one by Nico LaCastro, along with a number of other competitors. So we'd like to thank everyone that was gracious enough to help us out with the whole previews. Dana's, of course, the most popular and famous, done up there on the driving range hole. Dana, have you ever thought about going and watching the whole previews that we've put together for our broadcast, and then watching them, seeing if you can learn any tips yourself?
I do. I definitely do. I particularly go and seek out Nate Doss, as he is turned himself into one of the most well-spoken disc golfers and hole previewers out there. Caught him doing a live preview with you the other day, and I'm very impressed with his skills. I think if he was right now walking with you, the broadcast would be a lot better than it is with me walking with you. But here we are. It's me. It's you. I threw a lot of times, so I'm here and able, and I'm happy to be here with you and all the Smashies out there watching.
And Dutch looking to recreate the magic from yesterday, as he threw in one from more than 60 feet here on this hole yesterday, as he was en route to his very hot round. Colin Bailey short and on the right side of the fairway. And giving it a very strong run. And Sexton, currently sitting with a 2-stroke lead at this very moment, isn't able to take the birdie there. Alex Geisinger has found himself within 25 feet of the pin. And no surprise, the bomber is birdied here by Alex Geisinger. Shortly after this hole, we'll be able to check in with Jamie Thomas. He's given us a little breakdown here that we've seen from Drew Gibson with his solid performance today. Of course, Drew helpful giving us some co-commentating during yesterday's round. And Colin's in. So as these final two competitors tap in, we're going to move over to Jamie Thomas from the West Coast and talk about Drew Gibson.
We're back inside the Disc Golf Pro Tour stats booth. Going to take a moment to highlight a really hot round that's in the clubhouse. Let's look over at Drew Gibson. He's thrown only a 2-bogey, 11-down performance today. Pair of back-to-back bogeys on hole 8 and 9, which he then comboed up by going clean after that and only taking 4 pars, the rest birdies, really well. 100% inside the C1 circle. If he looked at it inside 10 meters, he hit it. And just an out-of-bounds stroke at the very end, but he was able to get the 3P. Drew Gibson making a big move on Saturday, currently tied for 13th, sitting at 15 under par overall.
Good?
Yep.
Be good.
Nice. Great shot.
And the 3 forehands of the group have no luck, but Colin Bailey goes with the beautiful backhand, which highly difficult shot, gives it a great throw. He's got to be up inside of circle 1 and sitting in a good spot for the birdie, while I'm going to say 2 of that 3 forehands, Dutch kicked left. He's going to have to do a little scrambling here, and Geisinger did kick to the right. He's going to have a left to right backhand shot. He was unable to execute a similar shot a few holes ago, so it'll be interesting to see what he grabs here. Looks like he's got a rock in his hand. He's going to try to float the left to right turnover shot in towards the bucket. And he fluffs it up a little bit, which does work out in his favor, as instead of holding that turn, it does start to check up and flex and drop near the basket. And we now have Mr. Batman, Dutch Napier, in the shul on the left, figuring out what he wants to do here. It looks like he's going to have to lean out and throw a forehand through the gap, aim to the left, have it check to the right towards the basket.
And Dutch hits an early tree, and unfortunately that may not be the worst of it. And Sexton's forehand goes up and over the pin, giving it a little bit of a chance. As I mentioned, Dutch's shot carried to this right-hand side, and it's not that he's out in the open. He's still going to have some work to do. Dana, was there any particular hole out here today that gave you an above-average amount of trouble?
Really, the only trouble that I found today was in between my ears, my head. I was not putting well and just could not shake it off. I started out hot with a few birdies, and then, as I said earlier, proceeded to 3-putt on hole 3. So,
and a great shot by Dutch, and the gallery was holding their breath, ready for that to smash into the chains. That was right on line.
Can I breathe yet? I'm still holding mine. But yeah, no, not. I really didn't have too much trouble. Where yesterday I had a couple double bogeys on some par 3s. Today I kept most of the par 3s, 2 bogeys. So yeah, other than my unfortunate 3-putt on hole 3, I really didn't have too much trouble. Just not throwing the disc very well. Nate Sexton, though, however, is throwing the disc pretty well. While he did end up a lot deeper than it did look from our vantage point.
And Nate's got it, and in. What a recovery.
Yeah, I don't even think the disc was halfway to the basket, and he was already reaching his hand up into the sky to wave to the crowd, saying thanks for the applause. And nice little jumper from Nate Sexton. He was probably just outside of circle 1.
And Geisinger's gonna be thinking about that one tonight. That's a putt that he should have had. Dutch is just looking to get off this hole and move on. And I want to address a little crowd control issue that we always talk about anytime we're out here for a live broadcast. It is perfectly acceptable to be in the view of any of our competitive golfers. The number one rule, though, is just to make sure you stand still. Sometimes even the most subtle movements, throwing away of your sunflower seeds or a nod of the hat or anything of that nature, just make sure you stand perfectly still anytime you're in line with our competitors and they're prepared to throw.
Yeah, one of the key things is don't move into the shot. If you're already there, as Terry just said, freeze. Be aware of your surroundings. You're out here watching disc golf. Be respectful of these players. Don't walk into their shot when they are already into their routine and make them either one, which they should be doing is resetting the routine, or change the routine. So just be aware where you're at. Put your phone down. Save the U-disc for the next tee pad when everybody's standing around. We got a little lull in the action, and let these players do what they came here to do today.
And Colin was looking for a little more turnover there. Of course, you want to make sure you steer clear of the pond between you and the basket, but he needed a little more turnover. Nate Sexton's trying to dial this one in. Oh, and just in front of the basket. Great shot by Nate Sexton. And Geisinger was a few feet short yesterday. And just past the basket, throwing a champion mid-range. Dutch has an F5 in his hands. Let's see if he can dial this one in.
And much like Colin, Dutch does not get over on the disc. Both of them are going to be in the woods on the left, scrambling to get the par. Everybody did stay dry, as we do have a pond just short of the basket.
And as we move down the fairway, I believe we have a special announcement from Michael Barnett over at Sun King Disc, a huge supporter of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Let's check in with Steve Dodge and myself for a little Michael Barnett Sun King action.
Why is that logo back there?
I don't know. Maybe because he's a proud sponsor of the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
I love Sun King Discs. You gotta love Sun King Discs.
I can dig it. So, with that being said, why don't we have a giveaway thanks to Mike Barnett and Sun King Disc as a sponsor?
$20 gift certificate.
And what you're going to do is go out to Mike's Facebook page, which is actually Sun King Disc. So make sure you find the right one. Go to Sun King Disc and give us the answer to this question.
It might be Sun King Disc Sports. Just saying.
It could be. So find his. It's got a sun on it. That looks like this logo.
Looks like that logo. Is that still up there?
No.
Okay. You took it off right at that moment.
I did. What's the question?
So the question is, we're at the Majestic. Who won the Majestic last year?
2015, men's division. Post that, Sun King Disc. Do it right now for your $15,000 gift certificate.
Like the page and answer the question correctly, you win a $50 gift certificate.
What he said.
Thank you, Mike.
And a solid approach shot there by Dutch from one knee off the left-hand side.
Get in.
And Colin jump putts to within 2 feet of the pin. Dana, many will tell you that this is easily one of the most gorgeous holes found out here at Blue Ribbon Pines. Tough to say which one's your favorite because there are so many, but this is just gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely. It takes such a well-executed shot from the tee to get the birdie. We saw both Geisinger and Sexton throw really good shots, 2 totally different shots. Geisinger going with the rock 3 turnover, Sexton going with the forehand. The main deal is just making sure you throw it far enough to get over the pond that does guard the basket. Most players, if you do throw the turnover and crank on it too hard, you're going to find yourself wet. Or the forehand player, if you saw it off, you're going to find yourself wet.
And a premature celebration here by the gallery. And Nate Sexton with tremendous concentration, as I just mentioned on the previous hole. A few of us were directly in his line of sight, playing a little game of statue. And Nate Sexton takes the only birdie here.
Yep, great drive from Nate. It was an ace run. He was able to cash in on the 25-footer and maintain his lead on the event.
Dutch with a solid up and down. And a little frustration there by Geisinger as he taps in. With that, Nate Sexton moves to 23 under par with a 1-stroke lead right now over Ricky Wysocki. There's a little bit of a backup on the next hole. We're going to stand down for a few minutes, listen to a word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
The Mach X by DGA, the evolution of disc golf.
there's much from there. Sometimes it feels good. What? Sweet shot. I'm really good at reception of course there. Well, it's a good shot.
And Dana will let the leader card here move down the fairway. Unfortunately, they're not moving as swiftly as they would like to be. I've got to say, that almost seems like a repeat of what we saw yesterday on the short little hole 7. Seems like nobody could really get off the tee here cleanly.
No, that was definitely not picture perfect. Geisinger with the best drive, and he sawed his off and got pretty lucky. I imagine he's somewhere near circle 1, definitely in circle 2. We're moving left towards both Colin and Nate Sexton's shots. Looks like we've got Sexton here, and it doesn't look all that good for Nate.
And as Nate assesses his situation, I'd like to send a big shout out to people like Andrew Rich, who are out there supporting us and watching the live feed here today. And a well-executed forehand roller here by Nate Sexton. Gallery indicating he may be within 50 feet. And off on the far left side, we see Colin Bailey. A moment ago, I thanked Andrew Rich for his support here of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the additional camera coverage. We also have to send a big shout out to our boy Kobe Geis.
Isn't it pronounced juice?
Oh, I think he's juicing. Is that how it goes? But Kobe, did I see Barbados? Is that where that guy is? We're missing him here in Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely missing Kobe's smiling face. He is in Barbados. Doing what? I've got no idea. Right now, I do know Dutch. He is center cut of the fairway. He threw a bad drive, but did kick down to the center of the fairway. He's got a left to right shot, probably about 180, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but the wind is kicking up through the trees here. It should be a relatively easy up and down. He's going to want to throw it up high right and let it check down, or possibly even go low skip.
I think he opted for the low skip, as you mentioned, on that nice right to left fading fairway. We see Colin had thrown his second shot, fighting to get out towards the fairway. He's going to be short at best here. He's hoping to be able to get up and down and take a 4. And Dana, we just mentioned Andrew Rich. We mentioned Kobe Geis. We mentioned a number of other people that aren't here, though. Have to include Big Germ, Will Schustrick. Where are they?
I did see Schuster had the caddy coverage going. He is playing the Volunteer Classic down in Tennessee. He was over in Sweden for the major, came back to the States. I don't think he felt like he had enough time to get here and fully prepare, so he went home to Tennessee and is playing in a home state A tier. As for Big Germ, that's a really good question.
And Sexton's able to give it a run. He's just inside circle 2. That's approximately 60 feet away. And Geisinger forced to throw an approach from one knee with a sidearm. Yesterday we saw Ricky in a similar but slightly more obstructed position and slam it off the center of the chains, and it fell out on him. Geisinger just playing for the easy 3. He's going to be tapping in. And Colin taps in next, or final player, I should say, will be Dutch Napier. We're going to stand down for just a few moments. Stay tuned. You're watching the second round action right here at the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
Legacy Discs and Upper Park Designs have collaborated to bring you this new edition Rebel backpack bag. The Rebel has a 25 disc capacity with vertical and horizontal storage. The bag is lightweight and very functional, one of the best on the market. Pre-order yours now through discgolfblackmarket.com and you will receive a limited edition stamp of our long-awaited disc, The Enemy. I'm Steve Rico, and I approve this message.
Legacy!
The wind seemed to push that down right to the pin. Geisinger somewhat surprised with the result there. And a little more direct here by Dutch, and a similar result is within 10 feet of the pin. Nate Sexton with a Star Excalibur. And Nate with a forehand shot as opposed to the previous 2 backhand hyzers. Colin with an H2. And if that carries, he may get up toward the pin. Finds himself within 15. Great shot by Colin Bailey. And Dana, as we move into our final 3 or 4 holes here today, we've got to thank the great state of Minnesota for some amazing weather. Seems like this year we haven't had the greatest of luck with some of our live broadcasts and our biggest tournaments, but certainly blessed here today with some great weather. I think we're going to see more of the same tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. It's for anybody here in the Midwest over the past, 2 weeks, it's been brutally hot and humid, and I have to say I was a little worried coming up here, but the weather has broke here in Minnesota and across the Midwest. We've got slight breezes, mostly blue skies with some clouds. probably 80 degrees today. Absolutely great weather for disc golf. Great weather to walk around, commentate, watch, catch. But we've got some Pokemon hunters out here. Right now, Nate Sexton hunting a birdie from just inside circle 1.
And Nate knew right out of his hands that that was not his best attempt. It may have been a grip issue on the fingertips. Seemed to be a little frustrated with himself.
Yeah, he, like earlier, he knew off the hand that it was in the basket. He immediately knew out of the hand it was not going in the basket. Geisinger tapping in. We've got Colin, he's about to tap in. Dutchy boy, about to tap in. This is definitely one of the when you walk up to this tee pad, you say, I have to get this birdie. It's one of the easiest holes on the course, but there's no trees in the way. It kind of plays with your mind. You're used to throwing through the trees, and then you get to this wide open hole. There's nothing to gauge. Oh my gosh.
And Dutch is understandably beside himself. We do not know how that popped back out on him. That was not the same that we saw earlier with a pop out on the elevated basket. He's really going to have to keep it together for the next couple of holes. He's got 3 holes to play. Yesterday when we talked to him during the interview, he said that he just says no thank you to bad thoughts. And that basket said no thank you. He's going to have to block that out and just keep it together for these next 3 holes.
Yeah, unlike Sexton, who yanked his putt to the right, Dutch was dead center. You just got to walk to the next hole knowing that you did the best you could. You put it dead center, and yeah, unfortunately for Dutch, he's got bit twice by these dirty spits.
You know, the way I sort of think about it, like you get in the lead and there's a part of you that wants to be like, oh shoot, I'm in the lead, this makes me nervous. But I usually just sort of think like, do I envy anyone else in the field? You know, like, sure, it's pressure to be in the lead, but would I rather be in 10th? No, I mean, whatever, you know, so you don't really have a choice. So at that point, then I can kind of just sort of breathe and relax about it, because I'm happy that I played well enough to get to where I am. Just because you're in the lead doesn't guarantee you anything. You just want to go out and stick to your guns and just see if you can come out on top.
The only time that I adjust my play based on scores is like probably, I would say, 6 holes to go in a final round. I don't think about it starting off on tee ever, because so much can happen, especially with disc golf. We have so much OB out of bounds, and it just, you could have a 3-stroke swing at any given moment, even on a hole that's you think is a birdie hole. I mean, the way discs come into the baskets and roll, it's just, you literally cannot give up until the last putt's in. And so I feel like even if I have a 2-stroke lead, I still am playing conservative, but, you know, aggressive when I feel that I can.
You cross it, you putt from the edge. That's what happened. Yeah. Yeah, the inside. That's the close edge. The water or the grass? The grass. Yeah, like oh, well, no. You go. Wait, no, Nate.
So you'll still have one hole left, so you could get 10-12.
Great shot here by Alex Geisinger with a KC AVR throwing his putter. And a very good kick there by Nate Sexton as he was on that tight right side. As we move down the fairway here on hole 20, we're going to check in with Jamie Thomas from the West Coast. He's got more stats and updates for us. We'll be back in a moment.
We're back inside the Disc Golf Pro Tour stats booth and powered by UDisc. We're going to take a look now at the next hottest round to finish in the clubhouse. Bradley Williams, your 2016 Vibram Open champion and the first winner on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A 12-down performance today after carding an 8-down yesterday, making 20 overall. He's hoping he's got an outside shot at making the lead card if there's any stumbling blocks by some of these other players. However, the last 4 or 5 holes have played pretty easy for these top guys, so he may be more of a chase card play. Still definitely in it to win it with a good opportunity tomorrow to be the dominant force on the Pro Tour, specifically looking for his second win. More moving day action to finish up today. Let's get back to Terry and the guys.
And Nate Sexton from just outside the circle, a half jumper, drills it for the birdie. We've got Dutch. He's about 28 feet short left from a knee.
And I was just going to say, Dana, Dutch should not in any way be tentative. Of course, he's got to be a little bit scared no matter what he was putting at right now after he's had a couple of them come out on him. However, that was a solid putt. Bottom left and in. Good comeback for Dutch. And Dana, we've seen some hot scores come in. Ricky Wysocki with a 14 under on the day. He's your current leader. And we are going to see a little bit of a different leader card at this rate here as we are moving into the final day. We've got just 2 holes to play. Nate's putt did now push him into a tie for the lead with Ricky Wysocki. So we are gearing up for a very exciting finish. I look down the list and I see as deep as the 3rd card will still have a chance at this come tomorrow. I see the likes of Paul McBeth, Eagle McMahon, and others. As deep as the 3rd card, I think we'll still have an opportunity to go after this championship tomorrow.
Yeah, and while we have 2 Minnesotans on the card today, tomorrow for sure we'll have at least one with Cale LaVisca sitting at 22 under. Geisinger has a chance to go birdie and hang on and possibly be on the lead card. I know the state of Minnesota would love to have 2 players on the lead card like they do today, but right now it's looking like Cale has moved himself onto that lead card. Eagle McMahon is finishing up right now. He might be able to push up Ty Cale. Geisinger is going to have to go birdie here if he wants to get on this Smashbox action tomorrow.
Everybody wants to step inside the Smashbox.
Yeah.
2.
I think we're going to be ready to tee here in just a few moments. Geisinger will be on the tee after the birdie on 20. And throwing the same Casey AVR we just saw him drive hole 20 with. And also going with a putter off the tee here. Great shot by Dutch. That should put him in a great position here to attack the pin. That continues to fade just on the deep side of the fairway. And Colin's inside route seems to have been hung up on that left side. This is really a 2-shot position golf type of hole. Really, no matter where you put yourself on this drive, Dana, you're really going to be just laying up to get to the elevated basket that we see. This is a very gorgeous hole out here on the 21st hole of this tournament layout. As many know, this course is typically a 27-hole layout. If you were to come out here and compete or play casual, you'd find 27 different holes to play. Cale has decided to trim it down, so to speak, to a 22-hole configuration. Dana, do you have any input as to how many holes are found on a course during any given round or tournament?
Well, that's an interesting question. Generally 18 I'm pretty happy with. Although this 22-hole layout is pretty solid, I do kind of err with Sexton. I'm not calling the course soft or anything. I love the course, I love the layout, but something a little bit harder to test himself and some of these other top-tier players. As Sexton throws his upshot, looks like he's going to be towards the base of this elevated basket. Once you do make the turn on this basket, it's one of the prettiest holes on the course. As they've built it up, they've got rocks surrounding the green. It's all about the tee shot and then throwing and getting up onto one of the levels of this elevated green.
And Geisinger, just like yesterday, he's on the right side of the pin. I'm not sure if that's by design or if that just is a happenstance as to where he's landed, but the last 2 days he's been on the right side of the pin. I know there's woods on the left. Maybe he's just trying to avoid those entirely.
And Dutch has got a touch through a great drive. He's got a wide open shot, nothing in his way. Goes with the putter, tickles some stuff. And it looks like he's going to be similar to Alex on the right. He may not be on the putting green. And I don't know how this happened, but Bailey is center cut and perfect.
And as you said, he is in a position that is about as good as you could ask for, and really you're just laying up trying to get up and down and card the birdie 3. There's really at no point, unless you somehow magically forehand roll a few hundred extra feet, can you get up and down and go after an eagle here, especially when you find OB on the left side.
Yeah, if you're going to see an eagle on here, it's most likely going to be a long throw in from about where Colin was, is about as good as you can get. Although he did not throw the greatest upshot, he's shown us today that he can jump putt from just about anywhere. Looks like he is out. He is inside the circle, about 7 feet inside the circle, putting up to this beautiful elevated green at Blue Ribbon Pines.
And a great 3 here by Colin Bailey. Solid putt.
Perfect timing. My boy, Blue.
I believe we heard a huge roar of the gallery on hole 22 as well. And Dutch coming from out of sight.
There he is.
That's Batman.
Yep. Great.
And Dutch has recovered nicely. We mentioned the spit out a few holes ago, and he has recovered very nicely here. And as expected, Nate is in for the birdie. These guys are really making this hole look easy when you get clean off the tee and then throw a solid approach shot. It's going to make a little elevated putt. And a star frame as we round out hole number 21. Dana, these guys are trying to finish strong, moving into Championship Sunday. And we're seeing some solid play to wrap things up. What are we looking at for a leaderboard with 1 hole to play?
Right now, we've got Ricky Wysocki. Oh, the score has just changed. Sexton does take the 1 throw lead over Wysocki, who is finished with his round. So we've got Sexton at 24, Wysocki 23, Eagle McMahon and Kale Leviska both at 22 under. Geisinger, I'm trying to do some math in my head as I walk, which is a very difficult thing when you're not good at math like me. But even if Geisinger does card the birdie here, that'll put him in a tie with Eagle and Kale. But with them having the hot round, I believe that will give them the nod for the lead card. So Geisinger is going to have to get a 1 if he wants to stay on the lead card for tomorrow.
And some players exchanging. And we're seeing Ulibarri is cleaning up on hole 22, the final hole. Hole 22, of course, 310 feet. Recently resodded to make this peninsula, I should say island green, with a small walkway. And look to be possibly James Conrad, I believe, tapping in. Oh, I'm sorry. That is Greg Barsby. The long hair threw me off. Greg Barsby said yesterday that he was nearly in tears at one point. He wasn't having the best day, and all he really cared about was getting his laundry done. So he's cleaned things up. He got some laundry done, and looks like he's doing it on the course as well.
Yeah, Greg has moved into the top 10 with his round today. We just saw Eagle McMahon tap in, so that may push Eagle to 23. No, we're showing Eagle at 22 under.
And that was T3J, who had a hot round yesterday. I think that's a valid bingo somewhere in there.
No, you didn't.
I told you, it's Saturday. Here we are with Alex Geisinger on the tee. And Geisinger not going to be shy about this, and he's going to find himself on the OB left side.
Let's go!
And Dodge is trying to clear it out here on...
Go!
Oh! And somehow that didn't go in.
Yeah, Dutch.
And Sexton hanging out at his forehand, and that's going to put him on the green. And Colin Bailey's is fading left. That's going to check up, I bet. Oh, and we hear a legitimate pun looking for it to settle down, and it did.
So as we walk up to the green here at hole 22, Blue Ribbon Pines, we've got a frustrated Geisinger who threw out of bounds with his forehand shot. He was looking to get the birdie to stay within a few of the lead. Sexton did put himself about 12 feet from the basket. If he makes it, he's going to have a 2-stroke lead coming into Championship Sunday.
Dana, we heard from Nate Sexton, I believe, back on the second or third hole today. He said if he wants to make it into the finals for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, he knows that he needs to attend all of these events. He was considering the idea of taking it easy this weekend, possibly heading to another tournament or just simply taking the weekend off. And I know after 2 rounds here, he knows he made the right decision to be here. Geisinger's just trying to somehow get up and down, maybe even save the par.
And as we walk up to the green here, I do want to give a shout out to some friends back in Illinois. Dave Kosiba, Kelly Carr, they're getting married today. I know a lot of the Illinois disc golfers are in attendance. Some of them likely would have been up here with us in Minnesota, but are attending the wedding. So congratulations to Dave Kosiba and Kelly Kosiba.
There you go.
And nerves of steel here for Colin Bailey. here on his leader card experience at this Disc Golf Pro Tour, this PDGA A tier, and the third stop on the tour. Finishes strong here with a birdie.
There you go, Nate.
And not quite the 17 under he opened with yesterday, but very solid performance. And Dutch is happy to see that one in the bottom of the basket.
Yeah, Dutch dead center again. The basket does what it's supposed to do, catches his birdie putt. He finishes really strong. I think 4 birdies in a row for Dutch to finish the round.
And as the players move over to the scoring tent, we're going to get into position. We're going to stand down for just a few moments, and then we will catch up with some of our top competitors here once they turn in their scorecards. Stay tuned. We're not done yet here on Saturday. You're watching the 2016 Minnesota Majestic. Hello everyone, we are back and I'm joined by one of the Disc Golf Pro Tour's biggest sponsors, but also most traveled people, competitors and sponsors, and Chris Finn of Dude. Chris, you just get here from Australia?
Oh mate, we've been here all year, since February. You know, we took the long ride, been driving around this beautiful country of yours and loving every minute of it.
I took a look at the back of your travel bus, and I think I've seen you 10 weekends this year in, I think, maybe 9 different states. So you're definitely getting around, and people should be here and buying some Dude sportswear, shouldn't they?
Mate, we're making disc golf apparel. We're custom doing everything, fabrics, you name it. Like it's custom made gear to play disc golf in, and quality is fantastic. You see a lot of the pro players wearing it. There's a reason for that, because we've manufactured it specifically so people play better.
It looks great, and let's talk real quickly before we bring in Nate Sexton. How's your play been this weekend? You're enjoying all the play, right? I mean, you have time to throw a disc once in a while?
Yeah, mate. I made sure that part of this year was actually getting to enjoy playing as well. Yesterday, it wasn't too bad. Today, I left the game yesterday. So it wasn't so good, mate. But I still had fun, and I'm here to help support disc golf. I get to play. That's a bonus.
Well, you've been an amazing supporter of our tour, of the PDGA, of the World Tour, of so many different things going on. We appreciate everything you're doing. We wish you the best of luck, and I'll probably see you somewhere next weekend.
Mate, I hang out with you more than my wife. It's starting to get her a bit worried.
I'm not sure that's good for either of us. All right, have a great day. Thanks for the support.
See you, mate.
All right, that's Chris Finn of Dude, and I'm going to bring in Nate Sexton, who is our leader. After 2 rounds of play, we've got 44 holes down, 22 to go. Talk a little bit about the round today for you.
Man, it was rough a little bit. Did you already talk about the heckling situation on live?
We briefly mentioned it. It would be great to address here.
Sure,
we're good with that. Somebody said we should ask you if you think the course is still soft or not.
Yeah, of course. But I'm not trying to insult the course. Let me be clear. I want to say that the scores are too far under for a legitimate pro event. Not that it's not legitimate. That's the wrong word. The scores are just too far under. I want to play a course where 6 down is fantastic, not 17 down is fantastic. That's all I'm saying. Property's great. People are nice. Love Minnesota. Not trying to ruffle any feathers. Just dreaming a dream of what I think this property could be in a real elite level event with a little bit harder 18 rather than a 22 of questionable difficulty.
Well, we talked about it just a little while after it happened. We had to find the right time, and I wanted to make sure to stay out of earshot of you.
Of course.
But what had happened was on the third or fourth hole. On the fourth hole, someone had you had thrown a shot, and then someone made mention of, you still think the course is soft. They're basically heckling you for your comment.
Yeah.
Not a classy move, as we say.
No, it was interesting actually. That's something that's never happened to me. So I hit a tree, and I think the quote was soft course my ass, like 50 feet behind me, and I turned around and I just sort of flatly was like, who said that? And I walked back there, I said, who said that? And somebody owned up to it, and I was frustrated. But yeah, I've never been heckled like that before, so it cost me a couple strokes, which is unfortunate because I'm not LeBron James. I don't still make $1 million if you heckle me. So every stroke is money out of me and my wife's bank account, and that made me mad. So I need to be stronger. I need to not let that get to me. But yeah, it was a classless thing to say, I think, because I thought I was pretty diplomatic in my critique of the course yesterday. I'm certainly not trying to say Blue Ribbon Pines is some terrible place. It's great, but I just want to see something even grander here someday.
Well, they're always improving. When talking with Ray, the owner here, today we were running around getting ready for the show, and he said there's always something. We're always improving.
Yeah.
And the constructive feedback from people like yourself go a long ways. They love seeing our top competitors come to courses like this and play on the property. Let's talk about tomorrow. What are you thinking as you move in to the final day with a 2-stroke lead after the strong finish?
One last thing I want to say is I wouldn't be here if I didn't like this course. So I like the course. Let's put that to bed. But great, man. Being in the lead's better than being in second place. So I'm happy. I'm disappointed not to put down another really good round. I lost my cool. Took a bogey. Took a double bogey back to back. Missed another putt. So I just kind of let that get to me, which I shouldn't have done. But yeah, certainly glad to be in first. Happy, looking forward to it. I think I can get out there as long as nobody's yelling at me. I think I can play quite a lot better next time.
All right. Any parting shots? What are you going to do here on a Saturday night? Are you participating in some of the awesome discs here at the Flying Festival of Discs and the Disc Golf Pro Tour games? How are you going to relax tonight before you get ready for tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm going to go back to the trailer, get some food, probably call my parents, tell them how crazy it was that somebody yelled at me, and just keep whining about that a lot.
No, you won't. We know you'll come back. Well, this is Nate Sexton. I got to say a huge thanks to everyone out there. Justin, who was roaming around today, along with Gary to the O, and of course Johnny V8 back on the controls, Joe Height on an additional camera, Dana Vici, who stepped in. His play got him to where he is. I think we're going to see him tomorrow, unfortunately. But we'd like to thank all of those crews, all of those people. We'd like to thank the Disc Golf Pro Tour and all of our Smashies out there. So make sure you tune in live tomorrow. We're going to bring you the championship and final round with Nate Sexton tomorrow at the 2016 Minnesota Majestic.
Thank you.